talking about time and the 24-hour clock. So we've been talking about the 24 hour, hour, and the 12-hour clock. Okay, 12-hour. Okay, before we start, just some quick questions. What is the difference between telling the time with a 24-hour clock or a 12-hour clock? What is the difference? Have a think about it first. You may want to pop back to my previous video. If not, let's answer this question. So what's the difference between 24-hour or 12-hour? Okay, so with a 24-hour clock, we're usually told as digital time. So the 24-hour clock can go all the way up to 24.00. Okay, whereas the 12-hour clock can only go up to 12.00. Okay, so that is the difference, because we know that if you're telling the time on a normal analog clock, that's what we call it. We call it an analog clock. If you're telling the time on a normal analog clock, so you might find it on a watch, a clock in your kitchen, living room, wherever. This is a normal analog clock. So if we're telling the time on a normal analog clock, we know that the time only goes up to 12. Okay, the time only goes up to 12. But on a digital clock, it goes all the way up to 24, because we know that the hour hand, which is the hour hand the short hand or the long hand? Is the hour hand the short hand or the long hand? The hour hand is a nice short hand, okay? And the minute hand is the much longer thin hand, okay? The hour hand is a nice short one, and the minute hand is the much longer hand. But we also need to be able to find out how many minutes there are between times. How many minutes there are between times. So, for example, we have the time 19 minutes past 16. 19 minutes past 16. The first thing, and we need to find out the difference, so how many minutes between, let's say 17:30. Okay. The question here is how many minutes between these two times. How many minutes between these two times? Now, firstly, we need to do something first, okay? We need to do something first. The first thing we need to do is write both of these times in as a 12-hour time, okay? So as if we're reading a 12-hour clock, we need to write both of these times in 12 hours, okay? So let's say we're going to transfer from this 24-hour to this 12-hour time, okay? So as on our previous video, what do we do? What do we do? We're going to transfer this 24-hour time to 12 hours first. We're going to transfer both of them. That's the first thing we're going to do, okay? So we know that this is larger than 12. It's higher than 12. So the hour hand, this is the hours, these are the minutes. So we already know that this the hour hand has already gone around the clock once. So we do a simple sum, which is 16 take away what? 16 take away what? It's 16 take away 12. What is the answer? That's just a nice simple sum. What's 16 take away 12? Fantastic. It's 4. Brilliant. Nice and simple. What do we do with the minutes? We leave them as they are, okay? We leave the minutes as they are. And then we're also going to transfer this time here to 12 hours as well. Now this again has gone past 12, so we know that the hour hand has gone around the clock once already. How do we work it out? we simply do 17 take away 12. What's 17 take away 12? What's 17 take away 12? 5. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. What do we do with the minutes? We leave them as they are. We're not going to change the minutes already at all. So we know that now it's much easier. We need to find out the difference between 4:19 and 5:30. Between 4:19 and 5:30, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is find the closest hour after 4 o'clock. We're going to find the closest hour after 4 o'clock. We know that it's already past 4 because we've got some minutes, okay? So the closest hour after 4 o'clock is 5 o'clock, okay? It's 5 o'clock. And then we're going to jump to 5:30. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump to the next hour, and then we're going to jump from here to the next hour, which is 5 o'clock. Then we're going to jump to the hour to the end, okay, to find out what the answer is. So we're on 4:19. How do we get from 4:19 to 5 o'clock? How do we get from 4:19 to 5 o'clock? That's the first thing we need to work out. Okay, so we know that the clock has 60 minutes on it, don't we? Has 60 minutes in total. 60 minutes in total. So this 12 here also represents 60 minutes. So we're going to go from 4:19 to 5 o'clock. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to go from 19 to 60. And we're going to find out how many minutes between 19 and 60. So we can do a nice simple sum. We're going to do 60 take away 19, okay? 60 take away 19, all right? So we're going to go, so because this number here is lower than this number here, we need to make sure that we have the highest number on top. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to simply borrow from the 6. So this 6 now becomes 5, and we can pop our 1 there, which this number is now 10. Okay, this number is now 10. So now the sum reads 10 take away 9. Nice and simple, we can do that. 10 take away 9 is, of course it is, 1. Perfect. And then we're going to do 5 take away 1, nice and simple, is 4. So we know that there's 41 minutes between 4:19 and 5 o'clock. There's 41 minutes between 4:19 and 5 o'clock. So we're going to put 41 here, because it's 41 minutes between 4:19. Remember, I said we was going to jump to the next hour, which is 5 o'clock. So we have 41 minutes here. Then, but we're not yet there. Now we need to jump all the way to 5:30. Now that one's quite simple, because from 5 o'clock to 5:30, how many minutes? Nice and simple. From 5 o'clock to 5:30 is 30 minutes. And we can see that, we know that, because 5 o'clock, 5:30, there's 30 minutes. All right, nice and simple. What do you think we're going to do next? What are we going to do next? Yep, we're going to add these together. So we've got 41 plus 30. 41 plus 30. Can you work it out? I'm going to give you 1 minute. What's 41 plus 30, please? Let's put our add sign there. What's 41 plus 30? Fantastic, brilliant. So we put our 1 down there. 4 plus 3. Fantastic. It's 7. So there's 71 minutes. There's 71 minutes, because we need to know how many minutes. We're not going to change that time we're not going to change it into hours or minutes or anything. It's simply, we're going to leave it as it is, 71 minutes, because the question is how many minutes between 16:19 and 17:30, and the answer is 71 minutes. Okay, 71 minutes. Now we are going to, let's see how fast I can get rid of all of this. We're going to do another one. It's going to say, come on, delete. So just as a recap, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, when we're finding out how many minutes there are between times, the first thing we need to do is, if it's written as if it's a 24-hour clock, the first thing we need to do is change our 24 hours into an analog or an analog 12-hour time, just so we can get a better understanding. Okay, now let's delete that. Delete. Okay, so are ready for the next one. Okay, delete one more time. Delete, go away. Okay, so I'm just going to change the color of my pen really quickly. Let's go for let's go for just a normal black pen. All right, so our next time is, let's go for 13.10 all the way to 14. 14. Let's go for 14:15. Okay. All right. So first thing we're going to do, nice and quickly, we're going to change these times into 12-hour times first. All right. So simply, we're going to do 12, take away these numbers. Remember, 12 take away these numbers. So what's 12 take away 13? 12 take away 13 is, that's correct, nice and simple, is 1. All right, so 1:10. We leave the minutes as they are. What's 12 take away 14, please? Fantastic. That's 2, and that's 15 there. So they are our times on 12-hour clock. 12-hour clock here, 24-hour here. Come on, there we go. All right, cool. So we now know that. The first thing we're going to do is to jump to the next hour. After 1:10, what's the next hour? What is the next hour? The next hour is 2 o'clock, all right? 2 o'clock. And then we're going to jump from 2 o'clock to 2:15. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go from 1:10 to 2 o'clock. We're going to go for 2 o'clock to 2:15. Now, simply, we know that in each hour there are how many minutes? In each hour, how many minutes? In each hour, there are 60 minutes, because we know that this 12 is also represents 60 minutes. So 60, let me put an M there, 60 minutes. All right, so we're going to find out how many minutes between 10, which I got from here, from 10 to 60. How many minutes between 10 minutes, which is here, and 60 minutes, which is all the way around here. All right, how many minutes? So we're going to simply do 10 take away 60. We can work that out in our heads, right? We know our 10 times tables. We can simply do 10 take away 60. What is 10 take away 60, please? Fabuloso. 10 take away 60 is 50. Okay. So we know that from 10 minutes past 1 to 2 o'clock, there are 10 minutes between those times. Now, because we're only at 2 o'clock, we need to add on an extra 15, all right? Because we're getting our 15 from here, because we're at 2 o'clock right now. We need to get to 2:15, all right? So the simple way we're going to do that, we're going to add on 15 minutes, okay? We're simply going to add on 15 minutes. So what is 50 minutes plus 15 minutes? What's 50 minutes plus 15 minutes? We're going to do a very, very simple addition. 0 plus 5 is, of course, 5. 5 plus 1 is, of course, 6, okay? So there are 65 minutes between 1:10 or 10 past 1 and 2:15. There's 65 minutes between these times. Okay, now let's do another one. Let's get rid of all of this. I could use my rubber, but I think it's I think we'll just go back and delete it all. Okay, right, almost there. Right, and don't forget, the great thing is you can rewind this video as many times as you need to. Okay, just take your time to understand the steps. Once you understand the steps, try and implement the steps, write the steps down if you need to, and then implement them. So before we do our last one, I'm just going to write down the steps. Okay, you can write these down on a notepad, a piece of paper, whatever you need to help you to memorize the steps. So the first thing we do, if we have been asked how many minutes between two times, so let's say we've got let's go for 16, 19 and 17:50. Let's write down the steps. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to transfer these. We're going to find out the time on a 12-hour clock. That's the first thing we're going to do. Find out the time on a 12-hour clock. That's number one. Number two, what's number two? What's the second thing that we're going to do? What's the second thing we're going to do? The second thing that we're going to do, what is it? Can you remember? So the second thing that we're going to do, we're going to find out what the next hour is. So what is the next? What's the next hour? Okay, because don't forget, we're going to jump to the next. Let's say, for instance, this is 4:19. The next hour after 4:19 is 5 o'clock. So we're going to find out what our next hour is. Okay. Then what are we going to do next? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to find out how many minutes between this time and the next hour. Okay, how many mins between? Okay, how many minutes between this time and the next hour? Okay, how many minutes between this time and the next hour? All right, what's the next? So we can do that. Remember, we're going to put in brackets 60. So we'll do this minute here, take away, we'll do 60, biggest number first. Remember, when we're taking away. So we'll do 60, take away this number here, okay? Then what's the next thing we're going to do? We're going to add on whatever the minutes are between this and this here. We're going to add on these minutes here, all right? So we're going to put add. We're going to add on mins. We're going to add on the mins, all right? So those are sort of like our 4 steps on how to work out how many minutes between 2 times. Now I'm just going to move this up here. Hopefully we can still see it. And we're going to answer another question, all right? And we're going to use these 4 steps to help us, okay? So I'm going to try and allow you to lead this as much as possible by using these 4 steps above, okay? So we'll start with one easy one. We're not gonna pass 12 this time. We start with a nice easy one, and then we'll move forward from there. So let's say if we had 04:30, and we need to find out how many minutes between 04:30 and let's go, I don't know, 5:10. Okay. Remember, the question is how many minutes between these times. How many minutes between these times? Now this one's nice and simple because we can kind of cross out this one. We don't need to do that, all right? Because these times have not passed 12 yet. The hour hand has not gone around the clock once yet. Okay, so these are in the morning. Okay, so it's nice and simple. All right, so if it's in the morning, we don't need to do this step. We do not need to do this step. We don't need to find out the time on the 12-hour clock. Okay, but what we do need to do is the next step. What's the next step? The next step is we're going to jump to the next hour. After 4:30, what is the next hour, please? After 4:30, what's the next hour? After 4:30, the hour is 5 o'clock. Okay, so after 4 is 5, nice and simple. All right. So then we need to find out how many minutes between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. As I said, this one's nice and simple because we know that the minute hand would be pointing to the 6. So it's basically halfway around the clock already. We know that between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, there are 30 minutes. Okay, there are 30 minutes because the minute hand has already gone around the clock halfway around. Okay, remember we talked about those 4 quadrants in my first video about time. All right, so we've gone halfway around the clock. Now this bit's nice and simple because we're going to simply add on, because don't forget we're at 5 o'clock already, but we have 5:10. So how many minutes do we need to add on? Okay, how minutes? Look, so we've done minutes between 60. We've done that already because we know we've got to 5 o'clock. All right, we've got to 5 o'clock, which could be represents 60 minutes. So we've done that step already. What's the next step? What's the next step? Correct, we need to add on these minutes. So we need to add on 10, right? So we are on 30 minutes plus 10 mins. Plus 10 mins. What's 30 mins plus 10 mins? Nice and simple addition. 30 plus 10 is 40. Fantastic. It's 40 mins. Okay, so our answer is 40 minutes. So between 4:30 and 5:10, we have 40 minutes between those times. Okay, we have 40 minutes between those times. Absolutely fantastic. Let's do another one. We're going to do another simple one, and then we'll move back to the trickier ones. Okay, it's really important that we understand time and how to use it and how to find out how many minutes between the times. Really, really important. Once we understand and can use and implement these 4 steps correctly, once we can implement the 4 steps correctly, it becomes much, much, much easier. All right, I'm going to move to a different color pen. Let's go for this crazy pink. Let's go for this crazy pink. Okay, so the times routine. Let's do a nice easy one. We're going to go for 07. 07, let's go for 55. Okay, 55. Between 07:55 and let's say 8:15. 8:15. Now, firstly, I'm going to ask you a question. Is this in the morning, afternoon, evening? Give me some understanding of when this time is. Is it in the morning or the afternoon or the evening? Okay, so this time is in the morning. How do we know it's in the morning? We know it's in the morning because we have not passed 12 yet. So the hour hand has not gone around the clock once yet. It's on its first time around the clock. Okay, now using and implementing these 4 steps here, we are going to find out how many minutes between these times. Now we can sort of cross out this first step. Why can we cross out this first step? We can cross out this first step because this is already written in 12-hour time. It's not 24-hour time because we do not need to move it to the 12-hour clock because it has not gone around, our hand has not gone around the clock once yet, okay? So we're going to move to the next step. The next step is finding out the next hour. So what's the next hour after 7:55? The next hour after 7:55, you've got it, is 8 o'clock, okay? The next hour after 7:55 is 8 o'clock. Now we're going to find out what's the next step. What's the next step? How many minutes between? We're going to use this 60 as a little bit of a guide. Okay, so how many minutes between 7:55 and 8 o'clock? We know that 7:55 is almost 8 o'clock, okay? So we're going to count, we're going to use these minutes and we're going to count up to 60, okay? So how many minutes do I need to add on to reach 60? How many minutes do I need to add on to reach 60? So we can simply use our 5 times tables, 55, 60, okay? So we're simply adding on 5 minutes to reach 60, just 5 minutes to reach 60, okay? So we are now at 8 o'clock. We've jumped from 7:55 to 8 o'clock. Now we need to, so we've done that step, cool, we've done that one. Now what do? We're on this step now. We need to add on the minutes, okay? We need to add on the minutes from here. We know that this is the hour, this is the minutes, these are the minutes, okay? So the minutes are 15, we need to add on the minutes, okay? So we have 15 minutes, or 15 mins. We need to add these on. What's 5 minutes plus 15 minutes? What's 5 minutes plus 15 minutes? Work it out. I'm going to give you 2 seconds. Nice and simple. Again, we can use our 5 times tables to help us. 5 minutes plus 15 minutes, we're counting in 5. We're on 15 already. Add on another 5 is 20. Okay, 20 mins. Okay, 20 minutes. All right, so we know that between 7:55 and 8:15, there are 20 minutes there are 20 minutes between these times, all right? Fantastic. Now we're going to move on and make sure that we're going to use, that we can correctly use this step as well, okay? Don't forget to go back over this video if needs be. Just take your time, all right? Again, get a little notepad, get some paper if you need to write down the steps, if you need to write down anything to help you, and please do that as well, because the more you go over something, the more, hopefully, you'll actually remember it. All right, I'm going to change my color pen to the nice color purple, and we're going to do one more. Now, this time we are going to go past 12. Sorry, we're going to use the 24-hour clock. So we're going to go, let's do 17. Let's do 17:50. How many minutes between 17:50 and 18:50? 18:15, sorry. Okie dokie. Moving on. I don't like that purple. I'm going to move back to black. All right. So how many minutes? What's the first thing that we're going to do? Let's look back up to our steps. Number 1, what do we have to do? Okay, so we need to transfer these to the 12-hour clock, or 12-hour time, or analog time, or however you want to say it. What are these times? So I'm not going to work these out. I'm going to let you work these out, okay? So if you want to pause the video there, work them out first. I'm just going to continue to write them in so we can get to the nitty-gritty next step, because I think we should be able to work that out by ourselves. Okay, so this time is 5:50. Remember, we do not change the minutes. Don't change the minutes. Okay, and this time is 6:15. Okay, what's the next step? I'm just going to move my screen up just a little bit. All right, what's the next step? What do we do next? We've already done that. The first step is 12-hour clock. The next step is we need to find out the next hour. So after 5:50, the next hour is 6 o'clock. Remember, all we're doing is jumping to the next hour, okay? And then finding the times between to help us. So from 5:50 to 6 o'clock, how many minutes between 5:50 and 6 o'clock? We already know that 5:50 is also 10 to 6. But just in case we don't, we can go back up here. So we've done this one here. We can go back up here, and we can and it can help us to understand that we can use 60 as kind of a base. So we need to go to jump to the next hour. So we need to go from 50 to 60 to find out how many minutes to the next hour. So what is 60 take away 50? 60 take away 50, nice and simple, is 10. Okay, so 50 take away 60 is 10 minutes. So we've got 10 minutes between 5:50 and 6 o'clock. But then we have to jump to, so we've done that step here. Thank you very much. The next step is we're going to simply add on the mins. So the minutes are 15. So we're going to add a nice 15 minutes here. So what is 10 minutes plus 15 minutes? 10 plus 15. What's 10 plus 15? Can you work that out? I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, 2 seconds. All right, the answer is 25. All right, the answer is 25. So we know that between 1750 and 1850, which is also 5:50 and 6:15 on a 24-hour clock, is 25 minutes. Sorry. So there's 25 minutes between these times. 25 minutes. Okay, 25 minutes. All right, so we know, don't forget, when we transfer these times, don't forget, this is 5:50 in the morning or 5:50 in the afternoon or evening. Is it 5:50 in the morning or 5:50 in the afternoon or evening? Be very, very careful, okay? Because when we transfer these times, so we can understand them a little bit better, we must also always remember that because we've passed 12 o'clock, it is 5:50 in the almost in the evening, because we probably say evenings after 6 o'clock. So we can say, for the basis of this, we'll say 5:50 in the evening, okay? So 5:50 in the evening, 6:15 in the evening, not in the morning, in the evening, okay? You've got to be very, very careful. So the amount of minutes between these two times is 25 minutes, okay? So remember, use this 4-step process. Use it, implement it, try a few of your own, okay? Try a few of your own to help you out, to ensure that you don't forget that process, because once you remember the process, then you'll be able to work these out on your own. So the first thing we do, is we transfer it to the 12-hour clock so we can understand our time a little bit better. Remember, we must also remember that if it's gone past 12, it is in the afternoon or the evening, okay? Then we find out the next hour, okay? Because we're going to jump to the next hour just to split it up a little bit, okay? So in this case, we jumped to the next hour, which was 6 o'clock, okay? So we jump to the next hour first. Then we find out how many minutes between these times. How many minutes between these times first, okay? In this case, we had 10 minutes. So find out how many minutes between the times, and then nice and simple, a nice addition to end things off. We're going to add on the minutes. So we're going to find the minutes over here and simply add them on, which should give us a nice figure of whatever figure it is. So then we're simply going to add on the minutes, and that is our 4-step process to find out how many minutes there are between any given time. Okay, that's how we're going to find out how many minutes there are between any given time. All right, fantastic. You did really well. There's a smiley face for you. Well done.